I'm not really sure that all states are going to be, encouraging people to hire people. We now have the city of Los Angeles saying we're not fully reopening until there's a cure. It's insane. This is a virus. We don't have a cure for the flu. We don't have a cure for cancer. Can't open until there's a cure. This is insanity. States like California, states like New York, Kentucky, strangely, is in this boat. And, of course, Michigan. Michigan has become a dictatorial state. It's crazy what's going on there. Carl Mankey is a barber there that said, I don't want to be a troublemaker. I'm not that guy. I'm a law-abiding citizen, but I have no other option. I've got to open my barbershop. He did. Police threatened to, not the police, sorry, the government threatened to close him down. The police actually showed up and said, we're not arresting you. We're not going to do it. It went to court. Court said, back off. You're not arresting him. He has a right. You don't have a right to tell him this. So what did the governor do? Now they have taken away and suspended his business license. So now he's operating a business without a license? Oh, my gosh. Why do you need one in the first place? Welcome back to the program. Carl, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
So what has happened since the last we spoke?
Well, I had a cease and desist order that our local circuit judge here decided that he wasn't going to enforce that. He told the governor that he wasn't going to enforce it. The sheriff's department told him they're not involved with it. One little county or little town in our county has already backed away and told the governor that they're not enforcing anything. But the attorney general and the governor have decided that it's kind of a vindictive thing. You know, that I've kind of become a worm in her brain, and I've become that barber as opposed to our president calling her that woman. So now I've become that barber in her brain. And she is going full force, illegally. When our legislatures told her that she was out of place, this was not her assignment, that she decided to take it anyway. So she took my license yesterday. And, of course, we're appealing that. We have to go through their judge, actually. They have I have to go before the licensing board, which is their judge. I know which way that's going to go.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah. So that's,
are you going to open up? Are you going to open up without a license anyway, Carl?
Well, that's the next week. We're going to go through this court process. If that judge turns us down, then we can appeal back to this judge in this county, and it'll be up to him. And of course you can't ever tell which way judges are going to go, but he turned them down once already, so I'm not certain. I wouldn't predict anything. I'm going to leave it up to right now I'm going to leave it up to the judicial system, and then I will make my decision, but I'm not backing down. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now, that I am
Carl,
not
you're 77. You're 77 years old. You've never been a troublemaker. That's not you. You cut people's hair. You opened not to make a political statement just because you had to. Do you recognize your country right now? Do you recognize Michigan as part of the United States of America and all of the freedoms that we've always thought we had?
Well, I'll tell you what I do recognize. Back in the 60s and 70s, I was, pretty much opposed to anything that was oppressive. The Democrat Party at that time stood for freedom of speech, human rights, civil rights, non-oppressive government. And they've completely flipped around and become the oppressive government, the suppressive government, the censor for any type of speech. So I don't recognize that party anymore as being anything other than a police state. I mean, that's what we have here now. When she took my license, that was a police state action. Just arbitrarily, summarily take my license because she's mad at me. So that becomes, I have no, other than there's no proof that I've ever done anything, that would be unhealthy. They don't have any COVID virus people that came out of my shop any more than they do out of Walmart. So it's a suppressive thing.
That's the real problem. The real problem here, Carl, is it's not like you're the only business that is trying to open up. There are other businesses, big businesses, that are open, and there are guidelines. And if you live by those guidelines, it's no problem for Home Depot, for Walmart, for the big stores, Target. But you, for some reason, can't be trusted.
Well, they kicked us under the bus. See, they did. The pot shops can be open, and all these things, but the barbers and the beauty shops, they've kicked us under the bus. They, instead of saying, well, this is what we'll work with you, and this is what the guidelines are for the other stores, and this is what we'd like you to do. We'll work with you. They didn't. They said, we're going to shut you down, and you will be the last to open, and that's what they told us. And I couldn't go another 28 days, especially after our legislature had told her that she was out of line. She's illegal. They told her that this was an illegal action that she was taking, and she decided to do it anyway. She and her attorney general. So between the two of them, I've become that kind of a sort of the worm in their brain, so to speak. But it's that their souls they're just rotting their own souls doing this stuff.
Let me ask you this, Carl. As somebody, I'm in Texas, so I'm watching it from afar, and I'd love to get your read on the legislators. I think they canceled their sessions because of the protests, and they claim that they're afraid of these protesters, et cetera, et cetera. What's happening with that? What's going on?
Oh, that's nonsense. Listen, Glenn, that is nonsense. That's just nonsense. This political posturing on their part of they're fearful people anyway. They panic over anything, and they've certainly this COVID virus thing. The insanity. I'm not saying it's not serious, but the insanity that's gone along with this. That I see people driving around in their cars with a mask on, with the windows rolled up. This is the type of insanity. And it isn't, it isn't that this is it's not a serious thing, because it is. But the fearful people, the fear-mongering that especially the left has done with this, is to make people more fearful. That they can't even go out of their house for fear of contracting the COVID virus. So it's it is. It's a panic. And I remember going through that when I was a kid with the polio virus. People panicked over that and acted very similarly. So that was back in the 50s. So any time that fear becomes involved with these things, it takes over. And it's gotten to the point where reasonableness has gone out the window, and panic and fear has taken its place.
What's this costing you, Carl? I
mean,
my
God.
Are you getting...
Don't even know yet. I'll tell you the nice thing about this is, I don't have a pension. I'm a middle-class barber. I've managed to save a little income, here and there, and put it away for my retirement. If something happens to me, my wife's left alone, she could be taken care of. I've never taken anything from the government. I don't want anything from the government. I had somebody say, well, you could have gone on food stamps. I don't want food stamps. I have a craft.
Right.
I'm able to take care of myself. So the cost of this, there's been a GoFundMe that a few people have started, and I have an attorney that's working with me, and it's not. I've had attorneys coming out of the woodwork, that wanted to work pro bono, but I wanted somebody, that also I want to pay them for what they're doing. I'm not one of these people who want to take stuff free, just for nothing, but I have had people contribute to me. And
I will tell you this, Carl, you're not, look, if you get a good attorney that wants to do it pro bono, that attorney is going to be very famous if they win, so they get something in return. And this is something that you're fighting not just for you, Carl. You're fighting for all of us. You really are. These cases have to be brought, And this has to come under control. If it doesn't come under control, Carl, if you and others like you lose your cases, we're in deep trouble. We're in deep trouble.
I have a good attorney. You know, he's an able attorney, but I assured him that honestly, you know, he says he would work with me fairly, and I said that's fine. Work with me fairly, and you know the GoFundMe things that are set up, you know, that will cover those kind of expenses and other expenses that I've incurred, so I don't have to take it out of any type of simple retirement, you know, that I have, that that I've accumulated over the years. I'm middle class. I'm not wealthy. I'm a middle class guy, and you know that's.
I wondered because you're now getting $1,000 a day fine, are you not?
Well, that's what I've heard. Don't know yet. You know, I don't know where we are yet. They were going to charge me $1,000 a haircut. You know, every haircut I gave was going to be another $1,000 or something. So I've heard all kinds of things.
Well, the Department of Health and Human Services said $1,000 and a year in jail. Yeah. I didn't read the rest of that sentence. Per haircut.
Yeah, per haircut.
A year in jail per haircut.
Per haircut, yeah. That's oppression.
Oh, my God.
That's a police
You think? That's a police state. Yeah,
I'm a novelist. I wrote a story called Age of Shame, and in that story, the Warsaw Ghetto plays quite a role in that during the Holocaust period. And the Jewish people at that time were turning their own people in, the young people in, because they thought they would infuriate the Germans. And they were given security. Just get into the cattle car. We'll give you security. We'll take you to a nice place. This is very similar to that. The government is asking me to get into that cattle car, and we will protect you. We will take care of you. Just get in the cattle car. And I refuse to do it. I just won't.
What is the name of the book, Carl, again?
Age of Shame. Age of Shame.
Is it available like on Amazon?
Well, it's available through my website. I'd rather not use Amazon. They kind of ripped me off there, but I have a website, carlmanke.com.
Okay, that's KARLMANKE.com. I got to read it now, Carl. I got to read it. Is it good?
Oh, yeah, it's good. I leave out all the crap nobody wants to read.
I love you, Carl. You remind me of my father. We're not that much different in age, but you're not certainly his age. But you remind me of all that was great about my dad. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah. Well, you know, I hope my kids I leave them the same legacy, and my grandchildren.
Well, you are. You know, I said that I thought this kind of oppression, and I mean much worse than what we're going through now, but that oppression that we hadn't seen since the 1930s was coming back to the world. And I said it's going to come a time when we have to decide whether we want our children to be able to proudly say what their father or mother or grandmother or grandfather did in those days. A lot of Germans just don't talk about the past. And it is a choice, and it's not a hard choice. It's Carl, you're not being heroic. You're just not going over the edge with the rest of humanity into insanity. That's all you're doing. You're just standing up for what you already know is right.
Yeah,
what we've always done.
That's been with me since I was in my formative years.